Across the Arab world, people have been reaching for freedom. But in Libya, the fight goes on. A country and its people demanding the end of a dictatorship. This is the story of Benghazi, the city at the heart of that revolution.
We want our human rights, our basic human rights. We want to be free. Long live Libya. Long live free Libya.
Thursday, February 17th. Thousands of Libyans come out onto the streets. 2 days earlier, a small peaceful demonstration for human rights had been bloodily suppressed by the Gaddafi regime. Now, crowds several times larger were demanding his downfall. No one knew what to expect or how the security forces would respond. But this was the start of an uprising. By the end of the day, Libya's streets were covered with blood. Within days, over 200 people had been killed and hundreds more wounded. But already the cracks were opening in Gaddafi's regime. His soldiers began to defect rather than continue the slaughter.
We are peaceful people. They are killing unarmed civilians. Help us by supporting us. Put pressure on Gaddafi. Tell Gaddafi to leave. Ask him to stop killing us.
But on the streets, most fought with whatever they could find. Rocks, knives, petrol bombs, and a mere handful of guns. Gaddafi's forces prowled the streets, shooting at anyone they could find. Eventually, the sheer number of protesters forced the army back into the regime's hated Katiba compound. For years, this stronghold at the heart of the city has been a symbol of the regime's unchallenged power. Now people had to overcome their fear to breach its walls. The cost was high. As the stronghold crumbled, the people's strength grew. Within a week of the first demonstrations, eastern Libya was in the hands of the people. The people had found a voice.
لأول مرة من 42 سنة يشموا طعمة الحرية. لأول مرة يعيشوا أحرار، لأول مرة يقولوا لا من 42 سنة.
كيف طعم الحرية؟
ما فيش أجمل منها، والله البحر تو كيف شمينا ريحته. أقسم بالله لما كنا نصبوا على البحر هذاهي كنا نشموا في بنة عفونة. تو شمينا بنة البحر.
But 600 miles away, their former leader had also found his voice.
هذه المحطات العربية أكبر عدو اللي يقوموا بالعمل هذا يعطينهم حبوب راهو مش بإرادتهم. وسنزحف أنا والملايين لتطهير ليبيا شبر شبر بيت بيت دار دار، زنقة زنقة، فرد فرد، حتى تطهر البلد من الدنسي والإرجاس. دقت ساعة الزحف، دقت ساعة.
The insults were met with defiance.
من هم يكونوا الجرذان سطر يا تاريخ عبر علي في الميدان يكبر صدر عاري للنيران تو تشوف قريب يبان.
حرية أهم شيء، حرية اللي كنا فاقدينها، ما نقدرش نقولوا رأينا. ذولا القائد السيد الزعيم إلخ إلخ إلخ.
Freedom, though enjoyable, had come at a price.
The United Nations says almost 40,000 people have fled fighting in Libya's west in the past month. Let's talk now to the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Antonio Guterres, joining us from Washington, D.C.
We have two hotspots. We have Misrata, where unfortunately there is no effective humanitarian access and people are suffering enormously, and it's a frustration not to be able to support them. And we have the border between Tunisia and Libya in the southern part of that. Some tens of thousands of Libyans have fled into Tunisia, have been accepted and hosted and protected by the host communities, the local populations, and we are now strongly involved together with the Red Crescent and other agencies in support to these populations. But it is a never-ending problem, and indeed the situation is becoming extremely dramatic from the humanitarian point of view. The host communities have been fantastic in their generosity. The Tunisians have been extremely generous, sharing everything with these Libyan refugees that came from Libya during this period of fighting. But it is extremely difficult to support these populations. And I'd like to appeal to the international community, not only to enhance humanitarian support to the Libyan population, but also to enhance support to the countries that have been, I would say, the cornerstone of refugee protection in the area, both Tunisia and Egypt, countries that face their own challenges, that had their own revolutions, the Jasmine Revolution, the Lotus Revolution. It is very important that international solidarity to these countries is as high as the solidarity they have shown to all those that fled Libya, because these two revolutions need to be a success.
وشرد أطفالنا وكبارنا وصغارنا ونشد أن يرحل خلاص بدينا يطلع يتخذ خلاص. احنا جايين هنا المخيم بارك الله في توسنا هي استقرارنا فرضا ان هي ما استقرناش كيف ندير هاي. احنا جايين حوايج لا حتى حاجه مش جايبين معانا حتى حاجه حتى ما ولا بكل يعني والله ما في حاجه العالم كلها مخلينا مش معدل علينا بكل فايتنا والله خلاص خلي يدير شويه هيك يتدخل شويه يدير حاجه جيني والله يقصد فينا. طيب والله انا خلاص خلي يطلع مع العالم انتم مش مدخلين فينا خليكم هيك ما تسمحوش حتى الناس نبكوا اطلع ما تتدخلوا انتم منا اطلع انتم منا اطلع ياسر اتخذ ياخدك يخدع اتخذ خلاص حتى العالم مش عم مسكرنا بكل ولا معبرنا جايب لك حيوانات ولا هيك نقول ما في حاجه تنقال هيبقى زي هذا الوضع زي هذا خلاص اتخذ ياسر مش بعد 40 سنة عشان تبي تاني انت عندك قانون يا نحكم يا نقتلك احنا مش راضيين بيه خلاص احكم على التاني غيرنا احنا اللي بيده ما نبوكش خلاص ياسر اتخذ افغل برا خيرك ميتاك ذا افغ تجي تقول لي ضطعيت افغ تاك.
When Libyan children between the ages of 5 and 11 in one of the numerous refugee camps located near the Tunisian-Libyan border were asked to draw pictures, you begin to realize the psychological scars these innocent children will endure for years to come. This first picture tells a story of what looks like unarmed civilians being murdered in cold blood by undoubtedly a Gaddafi military officer, while one of the civilians, with his hands down, pleading for mercy and asking, "Why? Why?" In this next picture, more of the same horrific images that play out in these innocent children's minds. Images of burning buildings, tanks, planes, and death. In this one, images of a mountainous landscape, possibly the beautiful western mountain region of Libya, Nafusa, left behind by this child, portrays the image of hope, freedom, and the bond created by the helping hand of the Tunisian people, depicted by the Tunisian flag, reaching out to hold the hand of the Libyan independence flag.
ربما يقولوا احنا ليش جايين العائلات احنا لان اكثر شيء يخوفنا
نموتوا مش خايفين، لكن لما تسمع انه بيستهدفوا نسوينك هذه لا. يعني ربما يفهموا الناس يعني ليش احنا جايين هنا، يعني بس ما يفهموا. احنا اكثر شيء نتحمل الشيء هو زوجنا والصقة، كل شيء عندهم مباح، وكلهم اللي تمسكوا في الأسر كلهم يقولوا لهم انكم كل شيء عندكم مباح، واول ما يبيحوا لهم مسوينها. فهذه ضروري العالم كله يعرفها ان احنا هروبنا مش خوفا من الموت. الموت هذه بيد ربي، لكن الاهانه والاهانه بالذات لما توصل في الزوين احنا مش مستعدين نغامروا فيها ولا مستعدين نقبلوا اي رزق في هالمساله هذه. هذه هي بس يعني ربما الناس يعني الصوره فيها غبش فيما يخص يعني هذا الكم الهائل من العائلات اللي هي تطلع من برا، تطلع قصدي من جبل نفوسها بدل احنا هذه المنطقه ضوء حاليا. هي صراحه خوفنا على عرض، مش مستعدين ان نغامروا بهالمساله هذه. فهذا السبب الرئيسي اللي يعني احنا خلانا يعني فعلا يعني صراحه يعني نطلعوا وخلوا الجهاد، ولكن الحمد لله الارض ما زالت فيها تريس. مش لا يعني ان احنا كذا طلعنا الجزء بعض منا احنا طبعا عندنا اسرنا وعندنا عائلاتنا هنايا، فهذه حتى هي مهمه، صارنا وعائلاتنا وعجائزنا. لكن بالطبع زي ما قلت السقاط يعني هذه العالم كلهم يعني المفروض يعرفوها انهم هم يعني استهداف النساء كان عندهم اول شيء يرموا به درعا. واحنا عرفنا وسمعنا.
As the crisis continues to worsen, forced migration to Libya's neighboring countries is becoming a major humanitarian concern. Due to incessant shelling of residential neighborhoods, schools, and mosques in the western region, the number of Libyans fleeing to Tunisia increases daily. Libyans from liberated areas manage to cross the Tunisian border at Heba, while those who still live in areas controlled by Gaddafi forces use the Ras Ajder border crossing further north. It is estimated that approximately 110,000 Libyan citizens have thus far entered Tunisian territory through the Dheba and Ras Ajder border crossings. About 80% of them are believed to be refugees. A deepening humanitarian crisis across the region is looming, unless the international community mobilizes additional efforts to protect and assist Libyan refugees.